Hello all, nice to here, and today we're doing a review of this Olamic Custom. Olamic makes some very unique and interesting knives. They almost don't look like they should work, some of the designs, some of the angles, some of the shapes and everything. And yet, from what I've heard, they all come together pretty darn spectacularly. And this one is no exception. This is the Olamic Whippersnapper. Pretty iconic, pretty... It wasn't their first, I think the Wayfarer is, but somehow this one has sort of supplanted it as, in my opinion, the go-to pattern for the iconic knife from Olamic. Yeah, sure. Comes in this nice pouch. This particular variant is done up a little bit. This is got a super dense twist damasteel, sort of a jeweled bolsters. This is the bolster lock. The clip and floating backspacer, which is gorgeous, is also jeweled. The scales are this very nice copper sprain space coral carbon fiber. Even though it kind of looks like a wood, it's not. It's carbon fiber. The whole thing is contoured very nicely and finished absolutely stunningly and top-notch. And that's what you get from Olamic. They're very expensive. They're called customs. They're kind of mid-tex. There is a lot of hand finishing that goes into these things, the grinding and stuff like that. But they're sort of custom, sort of mid-tech, because these are more standardized patterns and things than just a full hand custom or even just like a CNC custom. It's sort of bridging the gap. Let's get specs out of the way really quickly. Front flipper and thumb actuating hole for the open. Blade length is 2 and just a hair over 3/4 in inches. 6 7/8 overall, and the handle is 4 1/8. Now, this is a that doesn't quite add up to me. 4 1/8, really? A little over that. Now, this is a very small knife. In fact, I'll make the comparisons right now. Get that up and oriented. Where are my comparison knives? Hiding underneath things. Small knife comparison, Civivi Elementum. Full-size knife comparison, Civivi Conspirator. As you can see, this thing is actually smaller than both of them. In fact, it's almost one whole block here, smaller than the Elementum. I don't usually like small knives, at least not this small. But I can still get a full forefinger grip, even back here, not in the choil. And this is just sort of like an elegant carry, right? This is you got a nicer clothes on, you got somewhere a little fancier to go or something like that. I also really like the design and the pattern and and everything, and it comes together. I mean, this clip doesn't look like it would. Choked up, wonderful. Choked back, you can feel a little bit, but still wonderful. It comes together better than you'd even think it would. And that's sort of, again, how Olamic does things. I'd certainly like to check out more Olamics, but they're expensive. Can't just do that any time of the day. 3.42 ounces, so you're getting you're not an ounce an inch. You're not perfect ratios there, but it's not heavy. It's just not. Hardware, you've got T8 pivot, and everything else is T6, including these two screws that are actually holding the frame together. The titanium frame together. Nobody likes T6. But someone, somewhere, some point decided that they wanted to inflict the world with the scourge that is T6. And for some reason, people use it. Handle thickness, at its thickest about 1/2 inch. Yeah. Blade stock is 130. I'm guessing they were going for 130 thousandths, which is actually a little bit thicker than you might think for a small knife like this. I would expect it to be like 120 thousandths. Behind the edge, it is... No. Don't do that. That's not behind the edge. That's slipping onto blade. About 13 thousandths. 13.5. Pretty darn thin. It has enough room to drop. It almost doesn't look that it's that thin, but I think that might just be the Damascus pattern playing a little trick on your eye, on my eyes at least. Not your eyes. Well, I guess it could be playing tricks on yours. Let's just enjoy that for a second. While I say that these things come in two different blade shapes. This is the sheep's foot. There is also a Wharncliffe that is taller, thinner, longer kind of. I think those might be hollow ground. So they might even be thinner, even though it doesn't have as much room to drop. You can also see the pattern in the spine. Let's see if I can get that onto the camera. Sorry about the camera work, everybody. This is a phone. A phone on an arm. That's what I got to work with here. Beautiful, beautiful detent. Beautiful, beautiful action. Beautiful knife. Since we're done with spec... Oh, one more spec. Let's just make a quick comparison to AA batteries. Two AA batteries are about the same length as the handle. And you got the little choke up position. So that should give you sort of like a... How big is this knife? About that big. So, now, moving on to the fine details. As I said, these are hand ground, custom, semi-custom kind of thing. And starting with the blade and this front flipper. It almost doesn't look like it would work because it's kind of canted back, right? The angle is kind of, what do they call it? Acute. It's not an obtuse angle, so you don't have that much grip. But my word, this front flipper works amazingly. It actually gives traction off the jimping. It's nicely finished jimping still, somehow. Whether you're up here, whether you're up top, heck, whether you just want to push sort of down and into it, like that. This is one of the best front flippers you can probably find. It also, as I just slip right out of it, has an aperture to actuate. Fancy. Well, we were talking about fancy knife, right? Thumb flick works. Reverse flick works. Whole 9 yards. It just works, right? The only thing on the blade is their little Olamic logo right there. Otherwise, you have beautiful sterile damo steel. And it also says that it's damo steel. Right there. Whippersnapper, bolster lock, damo steel. I guess that's a run or something like that. I'm not 100% sure what that is. The plunge is really hard to tell. I think it stops like about here. So, yeah, you're not going to have trouble sharpening this thing. And the actual stop pin hits somewhere around there too. As you can see, it's sort of in there. Not really up behind the edge. I don't know why there are 2 stop pins, but there are. Oh, I guess this is the stop pin for closed, and that front one is the stop pin as an extra little bit of... Yeah, that must be the open one. Yeah. Okay. Bolster lock with a block bar insert. What's the word? Captured pivot. That's the word. I like captured pivots. I much prefer captured pivots. This clip works, again, way more comfortable than you'd think. Works way better than you'd think. They do some really interesting clips that are always much more functional. Again, applies to the whole knife. I'm saying again a lot. I don't know why. But you have ceramic detent ball But they use a very different ceramic detent ball. I don't know what it is that's special about this thing, but you really do kind of have to experience this one. It is just so unbelievably glassy smooth. I mean, it's not quite drop shut, but it's so smooth and so luxurious feeling, kind of. Lock bar access, I suppose I should have opened the knife, is actually quite good. Tons of lock bar access. Easy. And you pretty much fall, as long as you're up at the top of the lock bar, you sort of fall into that choil when it disengages, so you're safe from cutting yourself, which is nice. Always nice when the knife does not cut you. The execution on this thing is just all around wonderful. Now, the only thing that's not really perfect on this one is it's not centered, but it's a hand ground blade. That's what you kind of get. Like, it looks to be mostly centered, but the blade doesn't perfectly center up. It's pretty close. It's not bad, but it's not quite there. But again, that's kind of one of the things that you get with a hand ground blade, or when you get into the semi-custom territory, unless they're doing it via like CNC. It's character, and it's not actually negatively affecting anything. Everything else on this thing is essentially flawless. And I really, really like this pattern. I would really, really like to see a larger variant of this pattern. Maybe not the Whippersnapper, maybe just the Snapper. I don't know. A larger variant of this could be pretty cool. If they worked out some of the ergos, just slight adjustments to angles and everything, if they had to, and it didn't just translate to being slightly larger. I want to see a bigger one of these. I really do. But for now, I will make do with this, which I quite love. These are not cheap, though. As I said, they're semi-custom. They are USA made. And they typically start with like 20 CV and just the base pattern, like $750. Unless their prices have went up, which maybe they have. This one was about $1,000. It's not cheap. Again, it's not something... Again. It's not something I can just go and grab any day of the week. I would love to be able to, but maybe someday. Probably not. Yeah. But I'm extremely happy to have this particular one in my collection and for special occasions. And props to Olamic. They do some great work. I think that's about everything I have to say about this one. It's not the longest review. I haven't put this thing through its paces. I haven't done all of that. And maybe I haven't even done it justice, because it really is just that extra bit of special. It's just interesting, right? It's just an interesting knife. Everything about it. I'm glad it's out there. So I'm going to finish things up by saying, which I always forget, like, subscribe, comment if you would. That would be great. That would help the channel. I'd appreciate it. And just drop a note in the comments of what I can do to improve, where I need to improve. Is the focus okay? Am I too bright? Am I too dark? Am I showing the knife enough? What can I do to make a better video for you guys? Because I'm bringing you, I think, some pretty good knives. So I don't know if there's much more improvement to be made there. At least not in my opinion. These things are great. They're too expensive to say, I recommend them. But I do recommend them. They're just, you really gotta know what you're getting into. That's everything for me. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.